A very special show today because it's all about cyber security today. And here's what we're going to talk about. I've got Eric Basu, the CEO of Sentek Global, who is at a Black Hat conference in Asia. He's going to be joining us live from Asia today. And at the same time, I've got Holly Smithson, who's with the Cyber Center of Excellence. And we're going to talk about the fact that most of our military bases are safe, most of the IRS is safe, but guess who isn't safe? You're not safe. You and I aren't safe. In studio right now, Holly Smithson with the Cyber Center of Excellence in San Diego, California. We're gonna pick up Eric Basu. He's the CEO of Sentek Global. We've been talking about Eric all morning today. He's in Singapore at what is known as the Black Hat Conference. We'll talk about that in just one second. In the meantime, Holly, welcome to the program. Good to have you along.
Good to be back.
So yes, so you're in a different capacity now, but man, after listening to what we talked about the last 40 minutes here with everyone, I didn't realize that you're talking about $100 billion impact here. And I know that you mentioned San Diego, where we're based out of. Is $1.5 billion threat is that a loss or a threat? What does that number represent?
No, so the Cyber Center of Excellence is really excited to convene and launch this year and to do so here in San Diego, California. And one of the reasons why we convene is because we did an economic impact. And that $1.5 billion is actually the economic activity that's stemming from these people and these companies that are actually responding to all of these cyber attacks that we're seeing in the media.
What is your guys' job as the Cyber Center of Excellence? What do you guys do exactly?
So the Cyber Center of Excellence is actually dedicated to accelerating the cyber innovation economy, right? So we see all the attacks that are happening. So for every threat, there's an opportunity. And for every problem, there are solutions. So there are so many companies here in San Diego. In fact, the economic impact study calculated about 100 cyber-related companies here in San Diego, and about 8,000 of those are the cyber ninjas, if you will. So there's a really nice volume of activity to support the threat.
Well, think about that. So if there's 800 companies just in the eighth largest market in the U.S., can you imagine what that breaks through on a national level? Let's talk about it on an international level. Joining us here via Skype from Singapore, Eric Basu, the CEO of Sentek Global. Eric, thanks for coming on the air with us today. What is it, 3 in the morning on Thursday there or something like that?
2:38 a.m.
2:38 a.m. Well, I appreciate you getting up out of bed for us on that one.
No problem.
So first of all, tell us what Sentek Global does, so the audience kind of figures out exactly what you do. We kind of got a picture of the threat. We've got a picture of sort of the economic impact a little bit. But tell us exactly what you guys do.
Sure, we address the threat quite simply. I mean, we help companies, we help the government, supported the military for years, securing military systems against attacks from cyber attackers, and we do that with commercial companies as well. We help defend them so that they can continue on with their business.
So by define defend for me. For Joe Sixpack, for me, that means buying a some sort of a security package for my Mac or something like that. For you guys, it means going in there and actually testing and trying to breach their system. Correct?
Exactly. So when I was active duty, I was a SEAL officer, and one of the ways in which special operations people approached trying to secure a particular target was to figure out how you would attack the target yourself. And so we went through target analysis school and a lot of other type of training such as that. We do the exact same thing over at Sentek Global. We look at a particular target, and we figure out how we're going to go in there and attack it. And we actually go in there and attack it. And it takes very talented people with a very specific way in which they go in there. An awful lot of creativity to try and get past some of these defenses. Then you come and you give the client a report and say, this is where you're weak. If we can get in there, I guarantee you somebody else can get in there as well. And so you need to lock that down.
Eric Basu, CEO of Sentek Global, live from Singapore here at the Black Hat Conference. Holly Smithson in studio with us from Cyber Center of Excellence here in San Diego. All right, what is the difference between a Black Hat Conference and a Pink Hat Conference and a White Hat Conference? Where is he at right now?
So that's why Eric is in Singapore at the Black Hat Conference, because he's a Navy SEAL.
Okay.
And it's really where some of the creme de la creme, if you will, of the black market hacktivists convene every year.
I love all these new words, hacktivists.
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is where all the hacktivists are. Now, are these guys good guys or bad guys?
Well, depending on what side of the fence you're on, they are, if you're actually one of the people that are getting attacked and being subject to the cyber crimes, then obviously they're the bad guys.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the White Hat Conference, and those are obviously the folks that
this
are
is Eric.
defending.
That's Eric's. Hey, Eric, I got to ask you something. Is this a function of keeping your friends close, keeping your enemies closer? Is that what you're doing there in Singapore?
I couldn't confirm that.
Yeah. So first of all, tell us a little bit about what goes on there. I mean, because your job, obviously, you got to get in the minds of the bad guys in order to protect the good guys, right? Or in order to be a good guy. So let's say that I'm running the Cal ISO, which is the air traffic controller of all the energy here in California. And I'm concerned that we're going to have a blackout like we had in San Diego, California, a couple of years ago. Now, of course, that wasn't a cyber attack, but that threat certainly exists. This is sort of the thing you try to prevent, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. We were talking to one of the major energy producers, and they get hit tens of thousands of times continually by people trying to bring down the critical infrastructure.
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on a second. So you're saying so this is not just a one-time-a-year thing? This is just a constant barrage? There's BBs coming at them all the time?
Continually.
Man.
Continually.
Now, is that the case across the board with not only energy, but banking systems? I mean, is that just sort of the way of the world right now?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And it's funny, once you talk to them, they've been used to it for years, but it increases. I mean, it goes up 25%, 30% per year. It's incredible. And people outside the industry have no idea that this level of attack is going on continually.
So what you're talking about is an increasing threat to business and consumers every single day, every single hour, every single minute.
Consumers in particular, because, what's called the attack surface, the different points at which you can be attacked as a consumer, go up dramatically. So it's not just using your credit card at Target. It's your phone. It's your iPad. When those get compromised, you can lose everything. It's not just identity theft. They have access to your home security systems. They have access to whatever you've decided to enable with your phone. And people have no idea about the attack surface that they're opening up when they start using all these new tools. And we use, 2 new ones each year.
Eric Basu is the CEO of Sentek Global. Holly Smithson in studio with us, Director of Enterprise Practice for Sentek Global, but also the CEO and President of the Cyber Center of Excellence. And Eric is live with us via Skype here on the Big Biz Show from Singapore at the Black Hat Conference. I covered this Wiper APT attack on South Korean financial institutions. Are you familiar with that?
I am, yeah. That's actually one of the briefs that they have here. They haven't had that brief yet, but they're going into the very specifics of and the forensics of that attack. That was huge, and it's important, I think, for the audience back in the States to know it's not just the United States getting attacked; it's everybody getting attacked. It's knocked out a couple of South Korean financial institutions. And it was clearly targeted. It wasn't just kind of a random thing. Somebody happened to download something from a porn site. This was very targeted at these institutions.
And Holly, I want to ask you this: cybersecurity, since you are the market driver, the affinity group for San Diego, this is a board level issue. And I'm assuming, and just for the audience edification, let's remember, the publicly traded companies, the CEO serves at the pleasure of the board of directors. Board of directors serves at the pleasure of the shareholders in a public environment. In a privately held company, the board of directors kind of runs everything. I would guess that board of directors don't have a tenth of the information they need about this thing. This is like one of those things. Oh yeah, that cyber stuff. Those geeks have got to figure that out. Yeah. They're worried about driving top line, bottom line revenue, so on and so forth. I guarantee you that across the board in this country, that the board doesn't understand how bad this is, do they?
Yeah, I think historically what we've seen with companies when they think about information technology, when they think about data assets, it's really something that they've typically associated with the IT department. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the IT guys do, right? And no longer is it a function of the IT department. It's actually an enterprise obligation. It's a fiduciary responsibility. So I think for us at the Cyber Center of Excellence, it's really about raising awareness about just how vulnerable our assets are. And think about this in terms of what we call now the Internet of Things. Everything that we do is being digitized, right? So every one of our assets is suddenly in the cloud. And that means that you are vulnerable on so many levels at any time by anybody.
Somebody get me a length of rope, because I'm telling you right now, I'm just going to hang myself after the show. I mean, I honestly, every time I hear things like this, I'm so glad Rusty Nailz, and I think you all are glad Rusty Nailz is not in the studio with me tonight, but this afternoon. But I'll tell you, every time I hear stuff like this, it makes me think, is it just too late? Should we throw our hands up and give up? Eric Basu, the CEO of Sentek Global, is going to tell us why we shouldn't just throw our hands up. We come back at 51. He is live from Singapore via Skype at the Black Hat Conference. Holly Smithson, the CEO and the President of the Cyber Center of Excellence, in studio with me on the Big Biz Show. We're going to talk some more about cybersecurity and more economic impact, and how Joe Sixpack can protect himself and his investments. It's the Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Follow us on Twitter at Big Biz Radio. And Eric Basu is the CEO of Sentek Global, a cybersecurity firm based here in San Diego. But he himself is based in Singapore right now for the next few days at the Black Hat Conference. In studio with me, Holly Smithson. She is the president and CEO of the Cyber Center of Excellence. They are the acceleration market driver for the cyber innovation economy. They put all the pieces together to make sure people understand. And Holly, more than anything, I think we've all found out today, and based upon the amount of email I'm getting, it was the big aha moment today when we realized that this is not just an oh, by the way issue. For you, it's got to be for the next year about education, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And we talk about cybersecurity. It is a fairly new concept to folks that are running businesses and obviously running their day-to-day lives. But for us, one of the primary functions and the primary focus of the Cyber Center of Excellence is we want to be able to put forth some best practices, some industry best practices that actually cover a variety of verticals, like we talked about earlier, certainly in retail and insurance. The biotech and the clean tech clusters are very vibrant here in California, certainly in San Diego.
But also think of the biggest threat, though, too. You think about...
They're huge targets.
Yeah.
No pun intended. I mean, they really are huge targets.
Speaking of target.
For people that want to take over your IP, for people that really don't have the innovation that we do in California, but know where they can hack in and steal those critical assets.
Right.
So those are the threats that the Cyber Center of Excellence actually wants to come in and provide solutions to. So when we think about risk, Sully, we're never going to be eliminating risk as long as everything is digitized.
Well, clearly, I mean, Eric himself just said that, thousands of times a day it's happening to these bigger places.
So what we need to do is we need to be able to provide companies like Sentek Global that can come in and provide forensics and analysis and be able to remediate once these breaches have occurred. And in some cases, we try to, as Eric mentioned, we want to actually try to ethically hack your assets and see where we can try to prevent some of those gaping holes.
Eric, I got to ask you a question. Based upon what Holly just said, and based upon research I'm finding out, out of 100% of all companies in the U.S., what percentage would you say has a board that's actually qualified to deal with this? It's got to be in the 0.1%, correct?
Yeah, it's somewhere down there without a doubt. I see that all the time. I mean, Target, for example, I'm sure that the people on their board had been briefed that they were compliant when it came to meeting the security standards, but being compliant doesn't mean secure.
Well, that's like sending an email saying, yeah, I reached out to a guy. I mean, being secure and being compliant have got to be mutually exclusive, right?
Well, being compliant is one step towards getting secure, but it doesn't take you all the way there. And the problem is when people think that, well, I'm compliant and therefore I'm secure, or worse, and I think this is pretty common, is that I'm compliant and that's good enough because I probably won't get hacked. Because the reality is you are going to get hacked. Eventually you will. It's so prevalent; it's going to happen to everybody at some point or the other if you're not secure.
Well, and Holly just mentioned Target. Of all things, every man's going through Target for holidays, and that person that just bought a roll of wrapping paper for somebody over the holidays got hacked himself at that point. Tell me exactly. We haven't talked much about Sentek Global. What do you guys do? Let's say you find a Cal ISO, like I use as an example, or let's say a Target. To put it in probably our listeners and audience parlance, what is sort of the steps you guys take as a company to go protect them? I mean, is the first thing you try to do is break into their system? Is that sort of the protocol, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on what they ask us to do. If they ask us to do what's called a penetration test, we'll actually go do a penetration test.
What's a penetration test exactly?
Yeah, we actually try and go hack the system. So we'll go into their system and we'll try to hack it.
Nice.
We go with a certain number of rules and regulations. Sometimes they do a white box attack where we have some kind of knowledge of the inside system so we can make sure that we hit everything. And sometimes we'll go in black box, and it really depends on what the customer wants us to do. And we go in completely cold. We go in with zero information.
So if I say, look, I want you to come hack my credit card system at Walmart, for example, and you have no information, you start from scratch there? Is that what you guys do and try to go in there?
If it's a black box attack, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. And so we go out on the internet, we'll start trying to find any information we can about where the systems would be, what their IP addresses would be. We'll socially engineer, which means we'll call your assistant and we'll try to get her to give us information about what your middle name is, what your kids' names are, that sort of thing, because that's what most people will use the password, their kid's middle name, because nobody will ever guess that. Of course.
How do you recruit for people to work for you to do that? What just occurred to me is that you guys have a bunch of geeks in the back room there that know how to do this stuff. How did you find these people?
A lot of it's through networking. You know, there's a huge dearth of talent in this particular area. It takes a technical skill set, but then in addition, it takes a certain attitude of going in there. You know, this is the kid that would take a transistor radio, and I'm kind of dating myself, I know, and break this thing apart to figure out how it worked and put it back together. This is the same kind of person, the same kind of personality that makes a great hacker.
They call them tweakers these days, Eric. That's it's something. These guys rebuild carburetors at 2 a.m, buddy.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. So once you have found out, you do some sort of a needs analysis and then and figure out the patchwork, and then is there an ongoing sort of service that you guys provide after that?
There is, yeah. So we'll go back in there, we'll give remediation, and then we also offer managed security services. So most people can't afford to keep this kind of expertise in-house. People can't afford to send somebody out to Singapore to figure out what the latest exploit is. You just don't have the ability to do that. So we offer a managed service cost effectively for companies, helping them be able to make sure that they have access to this expertise. One of the best compliments one of our recent clients said, and this is a commercial client, does a lot of work for the intelligence agencies, big data. It said, it's good to know we have access to the top-notch security expertise whenever we need it.
Well, I'll say it's been a pleasure having you. I'll say it's been a big aha moment for me. I want you to come on the air with us, and when you get back in town, get in studio with us, because what I'd really like to talk about next time with you, and I'm getting emails. I got a Will Matthews just sent me one, and I got a Lisa Nugent just sent me one about how safe are my investment accounts at Schwab. We got to talk about that next time. Eric, I appreciate it. Eric Basu, the CEO of Sentek Global, live from Singapore. Thanks for getting up so early, man. I can't wait to see you in regular time next time you're in studio. And Holly Smithson, appreciate your time here today.
Always good to be here.
You're going to be hosting with us the Cyber Center of Excellence special we're doing here from the event you guys did last week. So we're looking forward to doing that.